Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Welcome, everybody. My name is Sanjana Ram. I'm actually the director for our newly opened, well, sort of newly opened organization branch out in Virginia. We are servicing the Northern Virginia area. And I have been in the field for over 10 years, 15 years at this point, and have loved every second of my progress to where I am with MeBe now. I have my wonderful co-presenter, Jill Pesansky, who is actually our clinical supervisor in Virginia as well. So welcome. Thanks for joining with me, Jill.
Hi, thank you, Sanjana. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm Jill Pesansky, as Sanjana said. I also have been working in the field for about 15 years now, and I've really enjoyed my time here at MeBe and starting in Virginia. So
awesome. We'll be going through our ABA holiday survival guide with the holidays approaching and just one passing through. We figured this would be a great opportunity to just kind of give our 2 cents and help anybody that has questions. So there we are. So just a little bit about ourselves, introduction wise, who we are. We're a non-public organization that provides one-to-one ABA therapy, speech and language therapy, as well as occupational therapy to children's birth through adulthood, as well as their families who are impacted by autism and other related disorders. We serve in the areas of Virginia, so we're in the Northern Virginia area, Austin, Houston, Dallas, San Diego, Los Angeles, the Bay Area, Seattle, Denver, and Phoenix. I think I got it all, Jill.
I think we did.
Our mission is to empower families and professionals and communities by educating, training, and training them on evidence-based approaches to improve the quality of life of those who they love and serve, so every individual may receive and achieve their maximum potential. And our key values are quality, transparency, fun, and individuality. So these are our learning objectives. I'll let Jill talk.
Sure, no problem. So these are our learning objectives. When Sanjana and I were putting together this webinar, we were thinking of what some of the challenges are for the holiday season. So the learning objectives that we came up with, one is how to prepare for the holiday season. There's a lot of things that go on, and one of the things that we are going to be talking about is decorations. There's a lot new things that are added to our homes. We're going to be talking about travel, preparing for travel during the holidays. That's another big challenge. Also, when routines change for the holidays, all of a sudden we have kids who are used to going to school. They're very routine based, and now they are off from school for 2 weeks. So, and also going to new places. There's a Christmas tree, there's presents to open one day. How do we handle these changes in the holiday season? And with new people coming, and what to do when things don't go planned, because we know with life, things don't always go as planned. That's not something that if it doesn't go as planned, we can figure out how we can survive that. Right, Sanjana?
Absolutely. That's a great word. How we can survive that unexpected change. Awesome. All right. So the first thing to do is prepare, setting realistic expectations. So preparing yourself with lists are probably going to be your best friend. What kind of activities are going to happen, who family wise is going to be coming, and preparing your child or the individual that you're caring for about who is coming to the house, and starting to prep them early and having those expectations of what is your holiday going to be like. It's going to be helpful to kind of go at your own pace, having the child go at their own pace for anything in terms of welcoming others to the home, showing affection or appreciation with gifts. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the rest of our slides. But also just socializing, being flexible with your expectations expectations, but also setting those realistic expectations are going to be helpful to reduce any anxiety and confusion and overstimulation for your child.
Right. So the next is to prepare others. And I'm also going to say prepare others and recruit support are really very similar. So preparing others and recruit support. You want to talk to your family and your friends, the people you're going to be spending your holidays with, ahead of time. Let them know what is realistic for your child. Let them know what your child is going to need. Explain to them that they are going to need some, what we're going to talk about later, creating a safe space. They are going to need a set rules and understanding of what's going to need to happen, but make sure that they also know that, you want to make sure your child, it can enjoy the holiday, but they're going to need some adaptations. And these are people that care for you and have the best of intentions, but just might not understand what it is that your child really needs in order to be successful. So make sure that you're recruiting your family and your friends, the people you're of holiday season, and letting them know what it is that they're going to need. Have realistic expectations for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Being able to prepare how many days in advance are you going to prepare your child for these upcoming festivities? If you know that your family members or friends are coming over on Wednesday, preparing a little bit ahead of time of priming your child and notifying them, okay, this person is coming. Maybe have that person send a photo. Okay, this is the person. So there's no real surprises when they do arrive that Wednesday before the holidays. It's helpful to kind of, again, reduce that anxiety of unexpected events. And maybe even having a calendar, having them mark off the days. And we'll talk a little bit more about what other strategies you can use, but calendar showing when the event is, having a countdown, those are all great opportunities. Most kids these days have an iPad or some sort of electronic device, so we can actually create countdowns on our devices and have them see that clock. So using those tools to help prepare, again, creating those lists of going back to realistic expectations, also creating lists of what can happen unexpectedly. What if happens, we can go down a rabbit hole with what ifs, but setting those, well, if this happens, then I can do this, and kind of going through a list of those unexpected events that might occur and what you could plan for to help solve for those issues. And then creating a safe space, as Jill said.
Right. And creating a safe space is what we'll talk more about that. But when we mean creating a safe space, what we're referring to is a lot of times, as we all know, that holiday events can get overwhelming. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of smells, there's a lot of decorations. So this is creating lights, sounds, so many things, animals that they might not be used to, pets are places that they're visiting as well, that they might need a safe space away from all of that, just to take a break and kind of help them to regroup. And we're going to talk more about creating a safe space, not just at your home, but if you might be visiting somebody else, recruiting that support to have them to help you with creating a safe space. So that's what we'll be talking about that later.
All right. Decorating for the holidays.
So decorating for the holidays. So one of the things that we've been talking about is that there's a lot of decorations that go up a lot this time of year. A lot of things that are, as you can see, the monsters down the bottom, they're ready to start touching those ornaments right off that tree, which is very similar to, I think, a challenge a lot of families are having. I know some of my families are having that challenge right now. So we're going to be talking about how can we incorporate your child into decorating for the holidays. So one of the things you can do is gradually start decorating, which means start with small decorations. So instead of putting up all the big decorations all at once, because also this time of year for kids that are used to routine, all of a sudden a tree comes up into their house that is not something that is normally in their house. Normally I see a tree outside, and often that means that furniture needs to be rearranged as well, which can be something that children with autism and other special needs all need some adjustment to. So what you can do is you can start with putting up small things, like maybe you could start with some garlands around the house, maybe some certain kind of small decorations of that you might have. Even I have a family right now that they have, there's a decoration that the child can touch, and there's decorations that the child can't touch. So they have, it's a musical reindeer. He can touch that, but he can't go and touch the Christmas tree because that's something that they have taught him not to do. So that might be something you do, is start slowly with a few things. The next thing is involve your child. So when you're putting up the Christmas decorations, explain to them what it is. Explain that this is a tree, it's a Christmas tree, and these are the ornaments. And your child might have even helped make some of these ornaments. So you could show them and say, remember we did this, or remember that. You also can start by, something else you can do is maybe just put a couple ornaments on the tree at first, have them practice not touching it. And by doing that, I mean standing there and practice having their hands down at their sides and not touching it. And then slowly have them help you put them on the tree, help more ornaments put them on the tree, and then they can and have them put the more ornaments on the tree and continue to practice not touching.
Yeah.
Also those that can be for other things as well. Go over your expectations. If something is breakable, it should be put high, so that way you don't have that could be a problem. Also another option could be to put a gate around the tree, so that way they can't access the tree. That's something that a family started doing that I've worked with. They started doing that, and then they faded the gate out, so they don't have to do it anymore. It was a visual barrier for the child. And once the child understood, I can stand this far away, they were able to take a gate away. And you also want to limit the amount of items and sounds. That can be overwhelming. We have a lot of lights this time of year, and some of them are very pretty and flashing and bright. But for a child that has a lot of sensory issues, it might be overwhelming for them to have all these lights in the house all the time. So we want to be careful about that. We want to make sure we're not overwhelming them. The same goes also for sound.
Yeah.
Sound can also be overwhelming. But at the same time, remember, for some kids, it's enticing to have them want to touch it. So if you have an item that has a lot of lights or sounds, they might want to touch it more because the lights are on. So you also want to be careful about that as well. So a lot of it is about knowing your child. And
Yeah, I think those are really, really good tips.
Thank you.
Also, I think one of those things is having, I think you might have mentioned this, Jill, but I'm not, you might have mentioned it and I just missed it, is allowing your child to have some say over those changes that occur to your house.
That's a great one.
Where do you want the Christmas tree, or giving them a couple options. Choices are really big this time of year, or really throughout the year. But changes and having them have choices and make those choices can really minimize the uncomfortableness or the anxiety that comes with so many changes to their routine. So offering them some say over those changes to the home and decorations, and where should I put this ornament, or, that kind of idea.
Absolutely. Very good point. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. When you're decorating your home, it's also good to have just an area where there isn't any decorations, there isn't any changes, that the room remains the same, just to have some familiarity, to give that child some place to go to that is that they are used to, and that isn't decorated in some sort of manner. Awesome.
That's great. Yes. Thank you.
Of course. So Jill and I have mentioned establishing a safe space, I think a couple of times during our chat so far. And this is one of the biggest parts of where you can create not only a safe space, but a calm down space. No matter how much you prep, how much you plan for, regardless of what you do to help your child, get prepared for the holidays, sometimes you just can't prepare them for being overwhelmed regardless. There's always some sort of aspect of the holidays that can just overwhelm them. And it's important to be able to work with your child to create an free access, as I mentioned, a space that is untouched, is remain to be the same, unchanged in terms of what decorations are around. That space should be comfortable, free from noise or distractions, or familiar distractions, things like books, things like favorite toys, whatever that might be. Noise canceling headphones are great this time of year too, but also access to those preferred items that I mentioned: iPad, books, toys that are highly preferred. This space can be in a bedroom. It could be off to the side in your study or living room area, where they have their own special chair that's with their own special basket of things. But working with your child and other family members, again, recruiting family and recruiting friends that are your support system to help develop a plan for different events, that things that you might be participating, that are family traditions or friend traditions, to help ease those moments for your child. So for example, if you plan on going caroling with friends, make sure you identify a space in the area of where you're going caroling out in the community, where your child can take a break. It's important that they have that space to kind of decompress from maybe all the sensory overload, and just kind of a space where they can be in their own space of what's the word I'm looking for, Jill?
They can be in their own, they have control over their environment,
yes,
their own place where they can recollect themselves.
Thank you.
And exactly. Sure. Of course.
Took the words right out of my mouth, but I couldn't even remember. But yes, right. Absolutely. Being able to collect themselves and gather, and being able to rejoin the group after their moment of being able to bring them back down to baseline. I think that's anything else you want to add from?
I think that's, and I think you might have also said, is to make sure that when they use it, to reward them for it.
Yeah.
Definitely, like they use that break space, that you want to make sure to reinforce that and make sure that you are saying, great job saying you needed the space and that you used it. And also remember too, when we're talking about survival, a little having some things are not always going to go as expected, but having a little bit of some issues or maybe a little meltdown, don't let it stop you from enjoying your time. Like, even if there was a little bit of some challenging behavior that happened and your child was able to use that space, take a break, collect themselves, focus on the positive, focus on all the good things that they were able to do, because maybe they were able to do only so much this year, but next year they'll be able to do more. So definitely make sure that you're rewarding them and reinforcing them for using that space.
High five, Jill. That was a great point.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Keeping on. We want to be able, we mentioned early on, to be able to gather those calendars and do countdowns and have event countdown timers, whatever that might be. It actually does help keep within a routine of some sort and kind of expecting what is going to be happening each day. That can be a daily schedule, that can be a monthly schedule, a weekly schedule, whatever that is. At least they have the opportunity to see what is happening on a day-to-day, weekly, monthly basis. They can see an overall view of what to expect. We consider that a strategy that we use as priming the child. So we're priming them for any of these changes. We're letting them know ahead of time before the changes happen.
Right. And I was just going to also add, Sanjana, even if also if when you're going to go to an event, if you have a schedule just for that event, for whatever that is going to be, so that way they know what to expect, besides just having this daily, monthly calendar, having that schedule of what to expect that day, where this is of this event that is different than what their norm is.
You can have schedules of schedules or lists of lists. I mean, you can go down that rabbit hole and fall into a list of lists, but yeah, that's a good point. The list of, if you are planning on going to several different, people's houses to celebrate, making sure that they know that this is the time or around the time that you're planning on going, or day. It's good to have the event itself kind of planned out and knowing what to expect. It's also helpful to review those pretty regularly throughout the day. So at least they're getting more repetition of what's happening. Scheduling changes do happen. So it's important that if instead you're having dinner at 6 o'clock versus 5 o'clock on Christmas Day, then you want to make sure that you're notifying your family as well as the child of, okay, we have a small change. We're not, and notifying them of that change through a visual schedule or some sort of written schedule. And just priming them throughout the day, multiple times a day.
Right. And as Sanjana said before, when she talked, she said building choices into your day, building choices is very important, especially right now when things might seem like when things are not in your child's regular routine. Build choices within them, but within their day, so that they feel like they can have some control over what's going on. And that is really helpful to keep, that is really helpful for them to also have some downtime as well, to make sure that they have some time where they can relax and away from all of the hustle and bustle of the holiday season, which we all know can get overwhelming. So you want to make sure that you build those choices in for them. And you also have time for them to have downtime, where it's time for them to kind of just recollect themselves and let them just calm down and try to kind of settle.
Bring them back to baseline.
That's good. Bring them back to baseline. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's building in those choices, but also building in the downtime, being able to spend, we know how crazy holidays and family friends getting into the home and in the hustle bustle of the holiday time. But building in those time frames of what's good for them to just spend some time with you and your family, or the parents. It's also good to kind of just ask them if they want that alone time or if they want time with you, just to have that one-to-one time. So again, choices are really important, regardless of just holiday time frame. It's good throughout the year.
Right.
We mentioned priming children, priming your child pretty well, but also building novelty within your child's comfort level. So although they might not be used to, all family members bringing in presents and putting them under the tree. That's a novel situation of having multiple presents for them under the tree. So building that in slowly. What is their comfort level? Bringing holiday pets. You had mentioned early on, Jill, like bringing that novelty in and bringing it in slowly. If they don't want to be petting the dog, then making sure that you're, kind of tailoring the dog away from the child until they're approaching them. So building in that novelty slowly. I think we mentioned early on too, take it at their own pace, making sure that you're giving them choices and going at their own level and their own pace to be able to decrease that anxiety that might come with it. Anything else you want to add, Jill?
No, I think that was pretty good. It's just, again, too much too soon isn't a good thing. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that you summed it up very nicely.
Thank you. We have some examples of what visual schedules can look like. These are what we call PECs or picture icons. These are just kind of showing what is happening in the morning, and then an evening routine, what to do, where you're going. You can have a written schedule. There's a lot of different ways that you can create a visual schedule throughout. And there is actually some applications. Do you want to add anything here, Jill?
No, I think that's fine. Yeah.
There's some applications out there. There we go. Really making your child's routine. A lot of these can be tailored for typically developing children as well, neurotypical children. There is Choiceworks, which gives you a bundle. These are all, I think, I do know Brilly is a paid service as well. Choiceworks comes in a bundle on the Android as well as Apple devices, but they have an opportunity where they're giving an application where they give you the option to create a morning routine, an evening routine, a school routine, whatever routines you have. It also has a wonderful opportunity to create a waiting timer. So if you first you wait for 10 minutes and the timer is actually embedded in there. And then you can have whichever choice and they get to make the choice. So they get a lot of control over it, but not over the schedule. They have the opportunity to move things around and say all done. The application talks to you. So it'll identify what's coming next. You can take pictures of actual objects or things and put your own voice to it. And then there's also the calendar that goes with it. Again, it's just the Choiceworks app comes in a bundle, or you can just get the calendar separately or the schedule separately. And then there's the other one down here, which I just recently heard of. Jill, I guess you were familiar with it.
I just heard of it recently as well, but I'd heard of it. Yeah.
It's called Goalie. Again, it is another paid device service. And you guys can, feel free to look that up yourself. But these are all some really great opportunities to, check out some visual schedules that are within the 21st century of applications and devices and electronics.
Right. Rather, they're more travel friendly. So that way, instead of having to get all those pictures with the Velcro and things like that can get lost extremely easily, this is something that's nice and it's travel.
At your fingertips.
Exactly.
Good point.
Thanks.
Of course. All right. Take it away, Jill.
All right. So social stories. So one of the strategies that you could also use is creating social stories about the family and about what to expect. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. You can create a social story, kind of like we were just talking about. You can have the electronic version, or you can have a photo pencil version as well. So one of the things but having social stories is very helpful for individuals who have autism and other disabilities, because it takes you through, it takes and explains directly what will be happening and what to expect for the child. Mm-hmm. So you can create a social story about the holidays. They may not have seen some of their family members in last holiday season due to the pandemic. So they might not have seen them in over a year. So this is also a good way to remind them of some family members they may not have seen. So you could do a social story. It simply could be a photo album just with pictures of past holiday celebrations that you could just use old pictures, put them in a photo album, and you could have them just flip through it and explain what's going on in the pictures, or you can do it through an app. And what you could do is with an app, or you could take a picture, you could have a picture of what's going to happen. And then you can you can sit down, you could say, okay, well, what we're going to do is when we arrive at the house, we're going to greet everybody. We're going to go inside. We might put our presents down under the tree. That might be the next page. Then after that, it might be, we're going to sit down at the table at a certain time. We're going to give gifts. We're going to wait. So it would sit kind of like a task analysis of sitting down of what's going to happen.
Step-by-step instructions.
Step-by-step instructions. Perfect. Thank you. So there are a couple apps. There's the All About Me storybook that you could do. And there's also Touch Autism. And there's a couple that you can use if you're going to go the out route that you can use to create social stories for your child. Another thing you could do is you actually could just create a photo album in your phone of kind of similar to what I was talking about with having that physical photo album, and you can scroll through and explain what's going on in all of the pictures. Another thing that is good, as I talked about this before with the decorating, is practice. It seems kind of counterintuitive to say practice this, but it's important for kids with autism to practice things. So practice gift giving. So practice that this gift I'm bringing is not for me, it's for someone else. Practice giving that. Practice waiting your turn. Wait your turn to open the presents. Wait your turn to wait your turn when it's time to eat something.
Or take a plate.
Or take
a plate of food.
Take a plate of food. Exactly. Whatever it is that your child might have certain traditions that you might have to wait for. So it's good to practice. Also, maybe have them practice what to do if I get a present I don't like. How do I respond to that? My mother drilled this in our heads. How you respond.
My parent did. My mom and dad did as well.
So, but have them practice, like, what do I do in this situation? Kind of like we were talking about planning for the unexpected. We're practicing expected and unexpected things as well. Another thing you could just do is, if you have holiday pictures around, just show your child's photos of the past holidays and remind them of pictures they may not have seen because of the pandemic. And if you're hosting, give your child a job. Have them practice. Have them be the person, have them practice greeting people when they come in. They could open the door and greet people and say hello, or maybe they could show people to their seats when it's time for dinner or when it's time to do something. They could have some other kind of host job for them that they could do. A lot of times our kids that have autism do better when they have a task. So giving them a task not only would help them, give them something concrete to do when they have all these new people in their house, but it also can help them helps to keep them focused, but also could help with their social skills as well. Like, hey, like, this is what I'm going to do. When this happens, I'm going to do this and respond in this way. So those are some things. I don't know if you have anything to add, Sanjana.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I like it.
Thank you.
So we know we're in, getting out of this time of in our life where we're kind of going past a pandemic and seeing other family members. And we're talking a lot about surviving. And the word prepared or prepare is popping up quite a lot. And we get it. but it is really important to make sure to be prepared for any travel that comes up. We want your holidays to go as smooth as possible. And so being prepared for travel, whether that be through car, airplane, if you're, driving to stay at another friend's or family's house, locally, those are all things that, you need to be prepared for, but also prepare your child. So if you are planning on traveling, through an airplane, by airplane, make sure you have some favorite snacks on hand, that you prepared those. They don't really give much other than pretzels or peanuts on the airplane these days, but also entertainment. So if you're going for a pretty long flight, make sure that your devices are charged and that they have multiple games, headphones that connect properly, that they're able to entertain, through these equipment or entertainment devices. So iPads and tablets are extremely beneficial. As we mentioned earlier, having the schedules to be uploaded onto a tablet, which are easily transferable place to place, but also communication devices. If your child is nonverbal and they do have a communication device, making sure that is at hand at all times. That's a really important one. If they're wanting to request, whatever they want or need at the time, they should be able to have free access to that voice of theirs to be able to get what they need.
Excellent point, Sanjana.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing is with airplane travel, anybody above the age of 2 is required to wear a mask. So we've been working on mask wearing for a lot of our families. We know that schools require, kids to be able to wear masks, some sort of, aspect of it. So we do advise and recommend that you practice wearing masks at home. I do have a family that is going overseas in January, so we are working on increasing the length of time that he wears it over his nose. He is able to wear it under, but obviously we want to make sure that it's over that nose and that it's comfortable. So practice, wearing masks with familiar masks, comfortable masks that you'll be wearing, on your trip. If you are traveling by car, or I guess if you are traveling by plane, make sure that you let the flight attendants know that if you do need some help, the flight attendants usually are very helpful in letting you guys on the plane first. Those with children, and then children with special needs do get a little bit more attention. They are very much able to kind of help support, again, enlisting support system to help you. And then practice makes almost perfect. We will never say that your trip or your plans will, regardless of how much you prepare, will be perfect. It won't be. You'll always have some hiccups. So we want to make sure that if you are traveling by car, long distance or locally, that you practice longer car rides and what they can do during those long car rides. Again, making sure they have movies uploaded to their devices, they have music, they have videos, comfort blankets, things that are going to make your travel experience easier, but also prepare them for that long flight or drive. So making sure they have their favorite stuffed animal, coloring books, running through the list of things that we're trying to teach our kids now, of like leisure skills and things that they engage in. But practicing ahead of time, talking about that trip ahead of time, going for longer drives on a daily basis will be helpful. Driving at night, driving in the morning, kind of exposing them to all times of day now that kids are getting out of school. But talk about that trip. Make sure that you prime them, notify them that we're leaving on such and such day and it's going to take this long, using visuals to help. Again, we've kind of gone through this whole spiel of, visuals and kind of making lists of what's going to happen. If you're at the airport, we're going to arrive at the airport at this time. We're going to go through security. This is what security is going to look like. We board the airplane. We arrive in, I don't know, Texas, and we're going to drive down to grandma's. Like, those things are really helpful with trying to prepare and review with your child throughout the day. Let's see, what about, I think that's pretty much it. I'm sure you can let the airport staff know if you need some extra support with TSA security and whatnot. They would be able to help.
Yes.
Did I miss anything, Jill?
No, I don't think so. I think definitely one of the things, like you just mentioned, is making sure you enlist the support of the airport
Others.
staff if you are traveling. So that way they are aware that you are traveling with a child with special needs.
Yeah.
And so that way they can be as supportive as possible. But I think you hit everything. Good.
Awesome sauce. Cool. Here we are. Oh my goodness. What now?
So be flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. Took the words right out of my mouth. Be flexible. Understand that regardless of how long you prepare, there's that word again, and how much you prepare for or plan for, be flexible in your schedule, be flexible in your expectation. Be flexible in your expectation of your own children or your children. We understand things come up unexpectedly, and kind of planning for what that unexpected things might be, and having a backup plan and a backup plan of a backup plan is always helpful. Obviously you can go down that rabbit hole again, of what might happen, but at least those things that you might know, or that might turn into something more, you can plan for. So, but being flexible with that is really important.
Right. Absolutely.
Oops,
Being
sorry.
flexible is huge. The next, you want to take advantage of that safe space. When you're visiting other family and relatives' homes, friends' homes, ask them where a safe space would be. Remember, you're going to reach out for support. These are your family members who do care and do truly want the best for them, for your child, you and your child. So take advantage of the safe space. If you feel that you're starting to see, your child, you start to see that they're starting to get upset, it might be a good idea to say, hey, let's go take a break into that safe space right then, to kind of avoid anything bigger. But if something, like I said before, and I know that it says it down the bottom really big, if something does happen and there are some challenges, reflect on success, focus on that, and focus on that. Make sure that again, if your child does ask to go use that safe space, or just uses it, reinforce them. Say, hey, good job doing that, bud. You did a really nice job being able to go there, even get out of the situation, and be able to just calm down, and also just take some time away from everything that's going on. So make sure you're doing that.
Yeah. So kind of piggybacking off of that, making sure that, as Jill said, your child is able to communicate those break, when they need a break. If you're having to prompt that break, it's important to honor it, even if you're prompting it. And always having your child have access to their communication device, or their best form of communication, to be able to ask for those. Asking for a break is something that can be, kept year round, and making sure that you, like Jill said, reinforce that, and want to, make sure that they are identifying when it's overwhelming, or a situation is too much for them to handle, or their sensory overload, whatever that might be. They should have that opportunity to recognize it, ask for a break, instead of engaging in problematic behavior.
Absolutely.
you know, you can offer choices first, you can do this, then you can have this. Again, we've said it multiple times throughout this, 45 minutes or so. Leverage support, your family members, your friends, whomever that support system is for you. Be sure to ask for help in areas that you do need. Other siblings might also be able to help. That's always beneficial for taking a little bit of to-dos off of your list. And relatives don't see your child on a day-to-day basis, and they will recognize some of the growth or all of the growth that has happened because they don't see your child every day. So embrace that positivity. If they're like, oh my gosh, Tommy has gotten so big and he is, so polite, embrace that positivity. That's amazing. That's because of the work you've put in and the consistency you've provided your child. And just be proud of that. Be proud of that moment and be proud of your child and all the challenges they've overcome. Not only this year, last year, and the years to come, they're learning. It's always helpful to be able to embrace that positivity and reflect on the good things that have happened, especially during this global pandemic time.
Absolutely. That was very well said. Yes.
Awesome. We are at a point where, Katie, if you want to field any questions or anything that might have come up.
So I'm just looking in the chat box. We didn't get any questions during the presentation, but I think you guys just did a very thorough job of providing a lot of information. So, I think that we will probably wrap it up here. I will leave it open just for a moment here while I'm kind of wrapping things up. If any questions do come through, feel free to put them in the chat box. Like I said, this is recorded, so I'll actually send out a follow-up email to everybody who registered, so you have the link, and then it will be on the MeBe family website and the MeBe family YouTube channel for future reference anytime. And definitely check out the previous webinars as well. There's a lot of really great information here that we want to share with families. And we will be doing a webinar in January with our speech and language pathology team. So stay tuned for that one as well.
Sounds great. We do
go
have
ahead.
some, sorry. We do have some additional resources I'll put up here.
Great. And you know what? I will include those in the follow-up email as well so that people can access those links.
You got it. Awesome.
All right. Well, we don't have any questions coming through, but I think you did a very great job of providing a lot of helpful information. I know I always learn from these webinars. I love it. I think there's so much helpful information that you provide. So thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who joined us this afternoon. I will send out that follow-up later today, and we hope to see you again next time.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Have
you.
a happy holiday.
Happy holidays. Bye.